Hello everyone and welcome to Helix Plays Games. My name is Richie and this is XPass, and joining me this week is Mr. Rob.
Hello.
We have no Chris this week because he is currently on holiday celebrating his anniversary with his lovely wife. Hope they're enjoying themselves and we'll see you all when you get home. We've got a great show lined up for you this week where we'll be discussing news from Tamriel, news from the Forgotten Realms, and Microsoft endorsing Right to Repair. All that and much, much more on this week's XPass. But before we get into it, make sure, if you haven't already, you like the video, subscribe to the channel or your podcast feed of choice with notifications kept on, so you're kept in the loop for all great content here at Helix Plays Games, such as Talking PS, where every single Tuesday we break down all the news happening to you in the Sony side of gaming. And we have other shows, such as our weekly live streams, where this week, well, last week gone, unfortunately we didn't play anything. Simple reason, it was meant to be me on my own playing through Death's Door, but I had a banging headache all day, and no amount of paracetamol chucked at it seemed to resolve the issue. And sitting in front of bright lights and on camera, it's just very, very, very unappealing that on Thursday night. So we will be back this week with a live stream, so don't worry. It's just a bad day for me. Happens. Make sure you follow our socials. All the links you need are in the description below. Everything's basically at Helix Plays Games. So Rob, have you been playing anything interesting?
I have, actually. I've been playing Skyrim. The special edition version which comes with XPass, which I would never have played if it wasn't free as part of my subscription, and I am loving it.
So, tell our viewers who've probably not ever heard of this game, Skyrim, before, tell them about Skyrim.
Well, Skyrim, remember when I was a young boy and Skyrim came out? It was your typical janky Bethesda game, but it's endured and now has a million editions on every single console and platform imaginable, I think.
I feel Bethesda have almost brute forced Skyrim to be constantly relevant just by constantly releasing it on everything. It's even on Switch. I've got it on Switch, actually.
The kind of annoying thing is that on XPass, on Game Pass, sorry, I always get those two mixed up. On Game Pass, you don't get the latest version of Skyrim. You get the special edition, but you don't get the 20th.
So,
no way.
The 10th anniversary one.
10th anniversary one. You don't get that.
So is it the PS4 one you get? Is the 10th anniversary PS5 Series X? I'm guessing.
No, so I think the only difference I can discern is that the 10th edition adds some kind of creator community content into it, in an official capacity, or unlock something of that nature. It doesn't affect much, but it just feels like a bit of a, why not just give us a 10th anniversary one?
Yeah, I feel like just give us the current best form of Skyrim.
Yeah. But no, I'm loving it. There's obviously still loads of bugs which Bethesda have never fixed in its 10-year run, which is still there and still hilarious.
Less bugs than Morrowind, though.
True. But yeah, I'm still enjoying getting launched into the sky by giants and things of that nature.
When the physics, for some unexplicit reason, just suddenly go ragdoll.
Yeah, stuff like that. No, I'm enjoying it. I've also I've resisted the temptation to become a stealth archer, which is just the standard thing you do in Skyrim. I've really worked hard to not be that character on this playthrough, and so far it's working.
Yeah,
I'm just some kind of two-handed battle mage type of.
The best storylines I've felt were kind of Dark Brotherhood and the Thieves kind of guilds.
Yeah, the Thieves Guild was brilliant.
Yeah,
and the picklock you get from that is
Although
godsend.
I think the Thieves Guild in Oblivion is phenomenal. that storyline, which we'll actually be talking about in just a bit, because, as I mentioned, news from Tamriel.
Yeah. So what have you been playing?
I've mainly been playing Final Fantasy VII, a little bit of FIFA, but I have it. Still sealed. Final Fantasy 16 for audio listeners. I've bought it. I'm not allowed to play it yet, though, because I've decided to get the platinum on Final Fantasy VII Remake. It feels like
sounds like you're making good progress on.
Yes. I talk a bit about it tomorrow in more detail, talking the PS, so I'll go very brief here. Basically, I was kind of at a point where I just wanted to roll credits. Once I rolled credits, suddenly my enjoyment picked back up. So I was like, I still want to play this game. And so I've been really enjoying doing a bit of trophy hunting, and it almost feels like now, because this is my second time playing through, it almost be wrong to have 2 complete playthroughs without picking up that platinum trophy. I kind of just want to go, right, there's the trophy, draw a line under that experience, then I can move on from it entirely. Mm-hmm. And then probably go back to either the Kingdom to roll credits and that. I will not be 100%ing that game. Yeah. Because I am nowhere near. I've probably got about another 100 hours in that game to do that, something like that. But that's just going to be mainline. And then 16.
Sounds like a good plan. So I'm guessing Game Pass for you has been a bit slow at the moment.
Yeah, there's been decent games come out, but there again, the games haven't been like, when I've still got Final Fantasy 16 and Jedi Survivor that I both want to play. Mm-hmm. If you're not as good as them, or not as appealing to me as them, then you could make a great game. But it's like, but there's other stuff I'd rather be playing.
Yeah, true. I feel like I'm in a bit of a lull on titles at the moment, so I think Skyrim's going to sustain me until Starfield.
Yeah. But my Xbox Series S was always intended to be my Game Pass box and Xbox exclusives. So the next big game I'm expecting to play on my Xbox is going to be Starfield.
Mm-hmm. Until I'm going to be sustained by the surrounding mods on Skyrim for me. That'll be all good.
Oh, there'll be tons of them. I think if I was to go back and play Skyrim now, I think I'd just still play it on PC because I have it on Steam. Although I probably don't have the most recent version, but I imagine it holds up well enough.
Oh yeah, that'll be fine.
Anyway, Rob, would you like to introduce us to
the excellently examined and excavated Xbox expose, aka the news.
The news, as always, is brought to you by our Helix Heroes, where you can become a member over on the YouTube channel at Helix Plays Games for as little as 99p, which gives you early access to shows such as Talking the PS, such as Luna Listening, if Amazon Luna ever actually do anything interesting enough to make us worthwhile doing a show, and gives you custom emojis, and just generally our thanks for being awesome. So, Rob, let's talk about Gamescom. So, news is coming out that Xbox are basically about to launch the biggest ever booth at Gamescom this year.
So that's a flex, isn't it?
Just a little bit, yeah.
Do you think it's almost like a point where it's like, we can still afford this giant booth even after all the mess up we've been through over the past 6 months or whatever?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been a rough first half of the year. Let's be fair. Redfall was probably meant to be the standout game for the first 6 months of this year and completely fell flat on its face, which unfortunately has put even more pressure on Starfield. Starfield was already in an awkward position because it's been a while since Bethesda has absolutely nailed it in terms of a big IP. Some of the other stuff, but it was a Bethesda-made IP, not a Bethesda-published IP. Mm-hmm. So we're talking Fallout and we're talking Elder Scrolls mainly. Well, it's been 10 years since the last Elder Scrolls game. Well, 12 years. And and the last Fallout game was Fallout 76, which was very much not well received. It seems like it's found its audience a bit nowadays, though. Before that was Fallout 4, which was just kind of accepted as, it's more Fallout, it's good. Yeah, but never had the kind of love that Free on New Vegas had. So it's been a while for Bethesda. Yeah.
So I think I'm quietly confident about Starfield.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping we get some kind of in-depth looks at it.
Yeah. So reading from the Xbox blog, Did we mention that the Xbox booth is bigger than ever this year? Because it is. We'll have over 30 titles in the booth, awaiting eager players spread across over 150 gaming stations, amazing photo ops and experiences, and a specially constructed 300-seater theatre. Attendees will be able to check out exclusive theatre presentations from Bethesda Game Studios' highly anticipated Starfield, as well as upcoming Xbox Game Studios releases Forza Motorsport from the developers at 1010 Studios, and Ara History Untold from the team at Oxide Games, Towerborn, the newest adventure from the developers at Stoic, and unveiled at the Xbox Showcase, will be hands-on for the first time, and we'll have the latest content coming to Elder Scrolls Online and Microsoft Flight Simulator. There's going to be over 25 titles from third parties. Games like Stalker are going to be there, from Overkill, Payday 3, Don't Nod's newest game, Jusant, is going to be there, Armored Core 6 is going to be there, which that's a big get on its own, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
CD Projekt Red.
This looks really strong.
Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty is going to be at the Xbox booth.
Yeah, that's a pretty big flex as well.
Yeah, like just a bit. So it's not just the first parties that do. There seems to be like a lot of high quality, highly anticipated third party titles going to be at this booth. So it's going to be interesting, and it's not long now because it kicks off on Thursday the 24th of August. So we haven't discussed internally what we're going to be doing for like potentially covering Open Night Live yet, but I'm assuming if we are free, we'll be live streaming it as we tend to do. Yeah,
I mean, I will be in Prague, so I will not be partaking in that.
Okay, Rob will be in Prague, so he will not be partaking in it. So probably me and Chris, but I mean, Chris tuned in before we went live, started recording, talking to PS from the hills beyond near Krakow.
That's a fair point. But
yeah. What I'm not expecting you to be sat on your holiday live streaming game presentation.
What are you most looking forward to at Gamescom from Xbox then?
I think Starfield is the clear obvious, but that's kind of boring to talk about.
So here's the thing. Like, so with Starfield, we're not actually getting any kind of hands-on stuff, are we? We're getting like a presentation for Starfield.
There is going to be a presentation. They haven't confirmed whether there will be hands-on or not. Considering it's the biggest game coming out from Xbox in the latter half of the year, I'd be surprised and probably slightly concerned if there isn't some hands-on. Because you think if they're going out to swing for Gamescom, biggest booth ever, Starfield's going to be the biggest game of the year. It just makes sense. This is where you want to get people's hands on with it. And to get a vertical slice of like maybe an hour or something should be achievable at this point, I would have thought.
No, I think they've announced that Starfield and Forza are just going to be theatrical kind of releases at Gamescom. It's not actually going to be... Which is why I'm not particularly excited about those two titles at Gamescom. The thing that's like kind of pulling me in is Cyberpunk, like the Cyberpunk expansion, which by all intents and purposes sounds like almost like Cyberpunk 1.5 as opposed to, like DLC, to be honest. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, I think talking about Cyberpunk, I think Phantom Liberty is a good opportunity to jump into Cyberpunk because it was a bit rough on launch, but it seems to be one of them where it has quietly had a bit of a redemption arc. I personally really enjoyed it and didn't have too many bugs. The only real bug I had was once in a while my gun would just start firing and would not stop until it ran out of ammo. But
the really painful thing about this game, though, is...
A quick load fixed the problem, but I was playing on Stadia back in the day.
That's the issue. I was also playing on Stadia, so I need to buy this game. I need to buy base again as well, and I've lost my save file as well, so... Didn't cost me anything except the save file, which is kind of sucks.
At this point for me, I wouldn't care about my old save file. It's one of them things. I go, oh, got my old save file still there. I jump in and go, I don't know what I'm doing. Let's start the game again.
Yeah.
But I'm not that interested in Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, mainly because I don't tend to play that much DLC, and I don't currently own the game anymore.
Yeah.
So it's just one of them things where if Stadia was still around and I still had it, I probably might have been very interested in this because it looks like DLC done properly, to be honest. Back back before it was called DLC, when you had an expansion to the game. You bring out the game, and then a year later go, hey guys, we've worked on something new here. For another £20, he's just like another 10 hours of content or something.
Yeah, it seems like CD Projekt Red caliber DLC. Yeah. So I'm hoping that's up to standard.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that'll be good. Armored Core's getting some good reviews at the moment, but I don't know how. I don't know. I think because I'm not a From Software guy, although this isn't a game that you would kind of think of what From Software would have made in modern times. It's not like a Soulsborne experience. I mean, they've been making Armored Core for a long time, but
yeah,
the rumours are saying it is good, and From Software are making very polished games at this moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested in seeing a bit more there. But I really don't know. I think for me, it's the surprises I want. The stuff that I don't know is going to be there. What have you got to surprise me?
I think there's going to be a couple of big surprises, considering like the ABK thing is kind of secure at this point.
Yeah, ABK is almost over the line. I'm not expecting ABK to be here though. These sort of stuff takes a long time to prepare, so I think they will love to be able to plan for it to be here. But I think at this point late in the game, it's probably too late to like pivot. You never know though. If they did just go right, solid Call of Duty, let's throw it here.
I think there'll be like a little hint or some minor drop, which will whet the appetite. I think at the Xbox booth, because they've got a theatre themselves, they're going to be doing some presentation stuff themselves. There may be some talk there. Whether that goes live on camera or is just addressing the audience who have paid the money to be there, hard to know. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking at Xbox for this year and going, at the moment, it's Starfield and nothing else is really going to get in the way of that when I'm looking at games I want to play this year. So, because I've got Final Fantasy 16 sat on my desk right now. I do want to go back and play Jedi Survivor. I do want to finish Tears of the Kingdom. And then we're already in August. And then basically I'm knocking on the doors of October by that time I've got through all that. So then we are looking really close into Starfield's about to drop. Yeah, and everything else in October.
Yeah, so I'm more interested from what Xbox is showing at Gamescom. Not for what they're doing this year, but for what they're doing in the next year or 2 years.
Yeah.
Show me the lineup. You know what? What's the next Halo experience going to be? What's the next Gears? Some of the stuff that seems to have went quiet. We've got some more rumours about stuff in here. Things like Stalker. It seems like it might be ready to make its comeback, which is that's a bit of a tenuous one we'll get into in a bit because of the Ukraine war. But it could be interesting to see what they've got.
Yeah, agreed.
Flight Sim, they're going to knock Flight Sim out of the park. My dad's probably going to be very excited when I tell him about all the updates on the Flight Sim, which he was playing this morning, I noticed.
Like Flight Sim is just a community unto itself. It doesn't obey the laws of normal games, I don't think.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a unique experience. Well, it's not unique. There is other flight simulators. But based on talking to my dad, there's not any that really come close to the quality of Flight Sim.
Yeah, like the rigs that some people drop on that game are insane.
Yeah. Well, let's move on from Gamescom. So we'll probably be covering it. I'm excited to see what Xbox have to show. And by coming out and saying they've got the biggest booth, you've set expectations now, Microsoft. You've got to deliver.
Yeah.
We should clarify, though, just having the biggest booth doesn't mean they're going to have a ton of stuff to show. It just means they've got a lot of space. But it does lean into it a bit.
Quantity is its own quality sometimes, okay?
Yeah. And just a reminder that Opening Night Live will be August the 22nd, and at the time of recording, I haven't been able to find a guaranteed like time. The Future Games Show will be August the 23rd, which will be 7 p.m. BST, but more news will come out of that in the coming weeks, I'd imagine. Moving on then to Tamriel. Rob, you like Elder Scrolls. You've been playing Skyrim.
I do. I am a big fan of Elder Scrolls.
What would you do if I told you there's strong rumours that there's going to be a remake of Oblivion.
I would pre-order that game, to be honest. As much as that I... See, this is like how... like, contrarian I am. Like, I hate lazy remakes until it's a game I love, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm all for it. So... I'm probably contributing to the problem of games constantly being remade and remastered and stuff like that, but no, I'll be all in for an Oblivion remake.
I don't like remakes at the expense of new stuff, but there's things like I don't mind remakes because it especially of older titles, because they can bring it to a new audience, and so like something like Oblivion I think is prime for a remake, because we grew up playing like Oblivion, but how many kids nowadays haven't played it, and then and you couldn't give a 15-year-old now Oblivion and expect them to enjoy it.
Oh,
we
God,
could.
no.
Me and you could enjoy it because we've got the nostalgia to get us through the jank. But
there's a lot of jank, isn't
there's
there?
a lot of jank.
How old's that game now, actually?
Oh, God, it's like really, really old. I think Skyrim's 10 years old, so I'm guessing closer to 20.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find... Elder Scrolls Oblivion, Elder Scrolls. Can you look up while I read this?
Yeah, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. So the rumour is that a remake of Oblivion is in development from Virtuous Studios, who have been known to make things like Outriders, Kerbal Space Program, Lord of the Rings the card game, PUBG Battlegrounds, which they ported to Stadia. LA Noire, they've done some stuff with Horizon Zero Dawn, Dark Souls Remaster. So they've got quite a
decent pedigree.
They got decent pedigree.
Yeah.
I think mainly it's ports and focused on ports and remasters.
For reference, that game is 17-year-old.
17-year-old. Yeah, that's right for a remake. I personally would prefer them to remake Morrowind, because I think Oblivion, for me personally, is still playable. I don't think Morrowind is. I have tried.
Really?
Yeah. If you think Oblivion's janky...
Yeah, I don't want to imagine.
I always preferred the storylines and the world of Morrowind. It felt more fantasy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that.
Oblivion feels very close to fantasy, and they're kind of very heavily based on European medieval history, chucking magic and stuff. It felt more standard fantasy, done very well.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Where Morrowind was just fucking weird. There was giant bugs, which like it was your fast travel stuff. It's like, that's bizarre. Giant buildings made out of mushrooms, which are horrible to eat, but apparently good for architectural reasons.
I feel like I can't remember which title it was, but I think you were the first person to expose me to like modding games on PC, because you had like loads of like custom armor packs for, it was either Morrowind or Oblivion or one of those games.
And Morrowind came by default on PC with a full game editor, like literally the editing software they used to build Morrowind. You just got.
Yeah.
So I made my own weapons and stuff.
Yeah, I remember you showing me, and I was like, "This is wild."
I did. I mean, I wasn't like creating textures or anything, but I was like mashing up textures, just literally hardcore. Like, here's two armor sets, smash them together. There's my armor. Oh, yeah, I think I did some sort of stuff like the glass armor from Morrowind, like recoloring it.
Yeah,
So
I remember you showing me
swap.
that.
Yeah,
and it looked just insane to my young PC naive mind.
and anyone who's played Morrowind will know there's a tree stump in the first opening town where you can get a magic axe.
Yeah.
I used to dump everything in there, because I knew it was dead easy to get to. Right at the start of the game.
Yeah, and get all your stuff.
Oh, Morrowind was an experience. I know every time I played, there's certain pieces of armour that you could steal straight away. Like, you could steal some glass armour and ebony armour dead easy straight away. Then you go to, like, a scamp who didn't have, in Morrowind, when the shops, you have to level up your mercantile skill in order to get better sales. The scamp just cost price.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So you could just no loss, and so you make a lot of money dead quick.
Yeah, it basically just breaks the future game.
Oh, God, absolutely. And enchanting in that game was the most broken thing on the planet.
Oh, it's the same in Skyrim. I'm leveling up my enchantment and my alchemy, so I can like those two things like loop infinitely, don't they?
Morrowind was worse. Like, seriously, my brother made a glass helmet that just had a small damage frost attack, but he used like Azura's Star with like one of the end game boss's soul in it, so basically had infinite like charge, but it was only a small damage, but it's fast so quickly that it just annihilated everything.
Yeah, completely fundamentally broke the game.
And magic in that game, you could fly. You could fly in Morrowind, which they got rid of in Oblivion. It's like, some of the spells were much better. That's why I want them to remake Morrowind, because some of the stuff that got cut for later editions of Elder Scrolls was like slightly disappointing.
Yeah, I feel like the stability factor would be affected by flight, though.
Yeah. But that's why they need to do it. They need to figure it out. Because you could enchant, like, permanent flight onto, like, a piece of armour and just fly everywhere. Oh, God, I love that game. But, yeah, it's a rumour, but seems like a solid rumour coming from Virtual Studios, a remake of Oblivion. And it was leaked by the same person who leaked the remake of Metal Gear Solid 3.
How was that guy not fired?
It seems like it's a credible rumour. So I think it's just a case of watch this space, and you never know, this might be a Gamescom announcement.
Yeah, that might be a little surprise.
That actually makes perfect sense. I hadn't really clicked on that. Like, yeah, that's what I'm excited for Gamescom. Oblivion remake. Let's go Xbox.
Go for it.
Yeah, that will definitely bring the hype. Moving on to another remaster, and then also another kind of leak. Quake 2. Quake 2 is seemingly getting a stealth launch in Xbox Game Pass this month.
It's not very stealthy at this point, is it?
No. Have you ever played Quake?
I didn't play number 3. I played 1 and 2, but it was... I don't really remember much about them because it was so long ago. And like this was during like the phase of like mass first person, not particularly distinctive shooters. So I played a little bit, but not enough to kind of have a authority on it, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, we have some potential dates for when this could be actually launched. If it is happening, it seems like it almost certain to happen. It's rumoured to be a remaster, not a remake, so basically take Quake 2, everything you loved about it, put it on 1080p widescreen on a modern platform. That's kind of what you're going to expect here. But Quake Con 2023 takes place from August the 10th to the 13th. If you're going to stealth drop it, there you go, that's your time.
Yeah, it's too obvious not to do that, isn't it?
Yeah, that feels like, if I'm Bethesda, we're going to stealth drop it there, and then we'll go Gamescom to double down on the marketing. Mm-hmm. Because if you do a Quake Con, Quake fans, well, Quake fans are going to be paying attention to Quake Con, so you're talking directly to your core audience. There you go, guys, Quake 2, have at it. A couple of weeks later at Gamescom, you tell the world. And you can also probably tell them, how many players we've got currently since the launch.
I think they'll do well, though. Like, there's still a very strong, passionate community about it. And I think a lot of people are crying out for a new Quake game, just generally. I don't think we'll see that for a while, but...
I don't think I've ever played much of Quake. I was definitely aware of it, though, back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And in fact, let us know in the comments if you want us to live stream Quake 2 Remaster if it comes out. Because I think that could be a fun multiplayer game for us to play. A bit of a retro feel, like when we play a bit of GoldenEye.
Yeah.
I hope it has some multiplayer, though, because that's where GoldenEye let itself down.
Yeah, true. Like, I don't think you can launch a shooter now without like a multiplayer element to it.
They did with GoldenEye. Well, it has GoldenEye Xbox has local multiplayer, but doesn't have online. On Switch, it has online, though.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. It just seems like cut the game out on the knees, really.
The only thing I can think of is if there was some sort of weird licensing thing, because the James Bond IP is a weird one. But with Nintendo, with Rare being owned by, who developed the GoldenEye game, being owned by Microsoft, but then Nintendo, if they had some licensing themselves as a publisher, maybe they're just kind of the agreement that went, yes, you can remake this, but online multiplayer is kept to the Switch. Yeah,
like the IP of James Bond is owned by about like a bunch of different people and all different kind of motivations behind themselves.
Yeah, but generally would not be surprised if come Thursday, we might be playing Quake 2. It could be shadow dropped on Thursday, because that is the 10th of August, so Quake Con is in play. So
let's wait and see.
Keep your eyes peeled for that. There'll probably be a lot of conversation, I'm guessing, in our Discord. If it drops, we'll probably retweet stuff. So paying close attention to our socials. Everything you need is in the link in the description, where you'd expect it to be. So Rob, we mentioned Armored Core a bit earlier. So what's your kind of hype levels for Armored Core right now?
So this has always been a title which is I've been aware of, and I dipped into a few of the older games. Like, I can't remember which ones now, because it's one of those series that has been like sustained for quite a while. I remember enjoying it when I played it, and when 6 was announced, like, I took notice, but I didn't really...
Fires of Rubicon. Such a good name.
It is, right? But I didn't kind of put much mental thought behind it. But then when I saw the gameplay where it's like the bosses turns out to be like this like giant thing you've been trying to navigate around, and for like the entire level, that's when I really started to take notice of it. So it's building, definitely, and I think it's definitely going to be one which I kind of sink a few hours into to try and get familiar with it. My only concern is that I hope the barrier to entry for new like people of the franchise isn't too high. I'm hoping it's just like relatively simple to get into and not completely like be lost with narratives and lore which people have already established in previous games.
Yeah, I feel at this point it needs to be a nice entry to the series, because Armored Core has been around for a long time, but as kind of more of a cult following, where From Software's now profile is very much one of the premier AAA developers.
Yeah.
So there's a more attention to this game than there probably ever has been from an Armored Core game, because of the successes of things like the Dark Souls series, Bloodborne, Elden Ring. So there's a lot of eyes on this. People who are not... Elden Ring turned so many people who are not Soulsborne players into Soulsborne players.
Yeah. Just like by the sheer strength of that game.
And now they're all looking at Armored Core. So, I mean, I 100% believe in their ability to produce the quality you expect. I personally hope it's not too crushing in terms of its difficulty, because that's where I kind of fall off a bit with Soulsborne games.
Yeah.
And also, to be honest, while there's some great narrative in Soulsborne games, it's always very subtle and contextual sort of stuff, where sometimes I just like it. Just tell me the story. I just want to play through the narrative.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
With Souls games, you definitely have to like dig it out.
Yeah, you have to.
There's
I've seen like some theories and stuff around early Dark Souls and stuff, and there's so much lore in there. It's where there's a lot of lore, but not a lot of story.
Yeah.
I feel like there's probably going to be more story here, so I'm interested. The only problem for me is when it comes out, which is actually why it's in the news this week, because we have a launch date. It's August the 25th, and the problem with that is I've just got too much to play.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see this being another sale title for me, because
if this was Game Pass, we would be streaming it.
Oh,
we'd be doing a first look. I would put it in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the pre-orders are up now, so if you are interested in Armored Core, head over to the Xbox Store, pre-order it if you're interested in it. It's there, it's good to go, and it'll be out in a few weeks. But you know what won't be out in a few weeks, Rob? Baldur's Gate 3. Sort of. So Baldur's Gate 3 is finally launching. It's finally happening. But they're having problems with the Series S, which has kickstarted the whole debate over is the Series S holding back this generation of consoles again? What is your general take?
Again, like, we talked about it a bit on Talking to PS from a different perspective, on with games being kind of developed for PlayStation 4. With the Series S, I do feel like there's more and more kind of issues coming to bear on for games like this. But I don't know. I've always seen the Series S just as a Game Pass machine, and maybe that's where I'm being a lot more forgiving than if I'd bought a Series S straight out and kind of spent a chunk of money on it. I think I'd be more annoyed, but because I went through the finance and Game Pass All Access route, I'm a lot more forgiving on what the Series S can actually perform as a console. So when it comes to trouble on certain games, I'm kind of okay with it, because I don't see it as it's going to sound awful, I don't see it as a fully fledged console in a way. That probably sounds really unfair, but I see it as a streaming box almost.
The issue is that's not how it's been sold to people.
Yeah.
It's been sold as this is a current generation console, so the expectation is that it'll be able to play current generation games, all of them. Not at the same level as a PS5 or Xbox Series X, but should be playable. And a quote from Thomas Puha, I don't know how to pronounce your surname, Puha, is the communications director at Remade. Nothing surprising in Baldur's Gate launch being a bit convoluted. Releasing games is more complicated than ever. The games come together literally in the last weeks, and only then you start knowing what you might be shipping or not. I feel Larian's pain, Larian being the developers of Baldur's Gate, on Series S. It's not about just optimize at the end, lol. Nah. You have to take it into account the technical limitations from the beginning of development. Nobody really wants to think of that when you start making your game, when everything is possible. So Remedy, developers of Control and Alan Wake, are kind of stepping in to kind of go, maybe the Series S is becoming a complication.
Yeah. I mean, in that context, I don't really agree with him, because at the start of a project, if you're going to say, okay, this game's going to be launching on this set of consoles, and I appreciate Baldur's Gate 3's been kind of floating around for a long time as a concept, and
I pre-ordered it on Stadia.
Yeah, and things change of that nature. But if you're going to say, okay, this game's coming out for this pool of consoles, I feel like the onus is on the developers to make sure that if they've selected a console for it to come out on, they need to plan and optimize. Well, not he doesn't like the word optimized, does he? But plan for it to perform to an acceptable standard on said console. I understand it's more complicated, but the thing is, the Series S has a much wider user base because of its price point and kind of hardware. So if you want the benefits of that, you can't then say, start complaining that it's much more harder to develop on, because that's what you chose to do.
Yeah, I kind of feel a bit. I can see both sides of it. Mm-hmm. From a purely creative point of view, if I was working in game development, you want to put your best foot forward. You want to make the best possible game. You want to make it. I think this is what he's hinting at, especially early days. Mm-hmm. When you're just kind of scoping out what's the scope of the game and all that stuff. But the other side is you are making a commercial product, you should be thinking about where it's going to launch right from the beginning. Yeah. That, I think, is where that's where your project managers, I think, and your production managers and stuff come in. So when you have your developers, the creative side, to kind of balance, you have to balance each other out.
Yeah, exactly.
But in some ways, I think the Series S, while it's sold quite well, might be the Achilles heel of Xbox this generation. Because if developers are getting a bit frustrated with having to... The complexities of having to develop for the Series S, and if they feel like they're being held back, this is where you might get more Square Enix style, more inclined to just release exclusives on PlayStation.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because they might be happy to produce... I'm guessing Microsoft's policies are it comes out on both Series S and X. Mm-hmm. And I'm guessing they're not willing to break from that anytime soon.
It'll be quite detrimental to their...
And I don't know how they get away from that during this current console generation. Because in some ways, it might, despite being a Series S owner, and I hope they don't do this, it might be to Microsoft's best interest in the long run to almost sunset the Series S halfway through the generation.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do that, though. I don't think you could ever do that without causing a lot of controversy.
I mean, is the hope that like the cloud service,
the cloud could be the bridge for this?
Yeah, it needs to develop fast to a point where it can.
If they get
the cap.
the cloud gaming up to a point where you can basically play any game, and would have to be any game, first or third party, to the standard of the Series X via your Series S, then you can sunset the Series, and you bring out Project Keystone. Project Keystone replaces the Series S as your SKU in your production line. You make your Series X, you have Project Keystone, and then people who have a Series S already can then just use the cloud to bridge it, and that's how you could sell it.
Yeah, and we have to remember as well that the Series S has the much bigger install base as well. Like, so if push came to shove, and they had to consolidate or kind of bleed into one or the other, it's going to be the Series S.
But it's interesting in a way, because we talk tomorrow and talking to PS about Jedi Survivor coming to PS4, and is the PS4 still kind of holding back the PS5 in terms of how games are developed? This is a similar scenario, really, when you think about it. Yeah. Although the Series S, I believe, is more powerful and has more modern hardware, such as it doesn't have a spinny disk hard drive, it has an SSD. Compared to, it's definitely a generation step up from the PS4.
Oh yeah, it's definitely kind of current.
But it's not leaps and bounds ahead of the PS4 Pro.
No.
So it's kind of, where does it stand? But I mean, talking about just Baldur's Gate, I'm disappointed by Baldur's Gate 3. The way I haven't enjoyed the way it's come out. Okay. It's been too long. I was very excited on the first reveal, and then with the pre-order, I got on Stadia. I could play the first chapter, and then they had the whole thing where every time they update the game, you basically lost your save and had to start again, which meant I kind of went. I played through the first chapter maybe twice on Stadia, and then for the next 3 years, they kept wiping the saves and having to start again. So I just never bothered with it.
Yeah.
And now I'm just not. It feels like it's been so long. Its launch period's been so long. I'm just my interest has just completely waned.
No, I had the same thing. I was excited when it first got announced, but I'm used to Baldur's Gate being a PC first title and then ported. And I think that's part of the issue. I don't want to kind of put Remedy down in any way, shape, or form, because they've done great work. But I feel like they work best when they're doing it that way, as opposed to.
Well, this is why I like the idea. This is one. I mean, go back to Stadia. We've bring up Stadia quite a few times in these 2 episodes. One thing I loved about Stadia, which I don't think any cloud gaming platform truly matches yet, is that combination between the console and PC experience.
Yeah,
it was absolutely seamless. So a game like Baldur's Gate, mouse and keyboard all the way, and within the same platform, I could jump into FIFA, pick up my controller, and crack on.
Yeah.
Without the pain of actually having a game in PC and installing drivers and all that sort of stuff that people outside of PC gaming despise.
Yeah, there's no appetite for it at all.
Yeah. So I think it's probably part of the fact that Stadia died. That's probably when my interest in Baldur's Gate died with it a bit. Because it feels like a PC game, but I'm not currently PC gaming.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. So, the shine's been taken off for me, and I don't know. We'll see what happens, I guess.
It's not the only news we have about Baldur's Gate, actually. We have news that Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 are coming to Game Pass.
Yeah, that's alright.
I'm all for this. 100%.
Cool, yeah.
I think it's a fantastic move, and to be honest, I love the early Baldur's Gate games. I believe these are the Enhanced Edition ones that were developed by Beamdog, brought up to speed. They still play like the originals, but now they actually don't crash on modern hardware, because that's how old the games are.
Which is nice.
I love the early Baldur's Gate. It's one of them games that I go back to when I used to game a lot with my brother.
Yeah.
And we played through Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 so many times.
Yeah, it's like very much like a formative title, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, this is it. It does something that I don't think is fully truly replicated in a lot of modern games as well, where you can play this game 100% on your own, very tactical, hit and pause, micromanaging team, or you can just roll a character each and just go. Me and my brother just two-man the entire Baldur's Gate 1, 2 and the DLC Front of Ball. Just picked a character each and just two-manned it.
Yeah.
We bring in NPCs just for story reasons, then kick them out when we're no longer using them. It was a fantastic experience. So I'm glad these are coming through to Game Pass, because again, it's just going to breathe life into these games, and I assume they're coming to PC Game Pass.
It'll be insane.
The reports they just say Game Pass, so I don't know whether it's going to be console or PC or both. It has to be PC. In my opinion, it has to be PC. Console, ideally, yes, as well.
Yeah,
I can't imagine playing them on console. It'd be weird.
Yeah.
It'd be great if one day we could get 6 guys together and just commit to, because there's 6 members in your party, and just we roll a character each and we just full on D&D it. Because that's what these games are. It's like taking the tabletop D&D and turning it into a console, a PC gaming, a video game experience.
If you had to estimate, how many hours would you think you've put into the series?
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds.
Yeah.
Because I played through them originally when they first ever came out, quite a few times. You know, when like you're a kid and you only had like 3 games.
Yeah, so you just played them.
So you played for the same game over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
That's why I played Ocarina of Time so many times. That, and of course, it's also an amazing game. Go play Ocarina of Time. Nintendo, remake Ocarina of Time again. I will buy it again. For the Switch 2, launch for the Switch 2, launch title. There you go. Do Majora's Mask as well. Yeah, that aside. Then when the enhanced editions came out, I played through again. I love. It's just one of them things. Every couple of years, I'll just re-roll a new character. I love the character creation. And
I think everyone
so
has those.
Varied, and it plays so differently.
Yeah, everyone has those formative games, and
Yeah.
I think for you, it's definitely those kind of like PC titles, and for me, it leans more to like the Metal Gear Solids and the.
A lot of it is because my brother. I have an older brother who's very much more. He's never been a console gamer at all to this day. He's never owned a console himself.
Yeah.
So as the younger brother, like he'd buy a game on the family PC back when you'd only have one PC in the household.
Yeah.
So there's the games I had to play.
Yeah.
And this is why my history's been in PC gaming, because from my older brother.
And play is probably generous. Like you more watched him play because he was bigger and controlled the PC more.
Probably, yeah. And there's probably a lot of arguments. I mean, I don't know if he's watching, but thank you, James, for being part of the formative of my gaming experiences. Last few stories. Stalker 2 seems like it's finally about to return. So this is a game that kind of disappeared for a while. It's looked like it's upcoming at Xbox's live show later this month, probably at Gamescom. There's a bit of controversy around this game. It's Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl, with the Ukrainian war. I think it's been carefully handled.
Yeah. There's definitely some sensitivity which you have to attach to this title at the moment, don't you?
Yeah. But this is one where it seemed to come out, quite a bit of hype around it, and then just seemed to disappear. But the last time we did see something was December last year, so it's not... It looks like they're getting ready to launch. So we don't have a title yet, but it's pretty... In fact, it is confirmed through... I was about to call it Twitter then. Stalker officials, X profile. The X profile, because... What do you call it? Elon Musk likes the letter X. X. Pass is better than that. But the Stalker official Twitter tweet, it's still a tweet. Deadly anomalies, dangerous mutants, anarchists, bandits, free stalkers, players and partners are heartily invited to join us and play the demo of Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl at Gamescom 2023 on August the 23rd to the 27th. See you and good hunting, stalkers.
I don't think we've seen anything for like the game's gameplay. I think it's been a good few years, hasn't it? I want to say 2020 maybe.
December last year they did something, but I remember I think it was was it Game Awards, maybe? That, because I remember talking about it, and it just seemed like something that it just completely disappeared for a while.
Yeah.
And then it's Remade, so it's going to be at Gamescon, it's going to be playable. And good. That's... Anytime I hear a game that's going to be playable at a games convention available to the public is a good sign for a game.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But what else do we have this week? DICE. So DICE are a big believer in Game Pass because of Battlefield 2042 getting a massive boost in player base. Battlefield 2042, Rob.
You know what? Like I hate talking about Battlefield because I love that franchise. Like from Battlefield 3 was probably like the first person shooter which I got into the most in terms of multiplayer and kind of got like relatively decent at it. And it's the first FPS I've ever done that for, just because they don't typically like capture my attention. And to see it kind of get battered down like release after release, kind of made me a bit sad. And I think it coming to Game Pass was, it needed it desperately. Like as a franchise, it was just dead, wasn't it? Basically.
Yeah, it felt like make or break.
Yeah.
I mean, we even jumped into it. I think we did a live stream of it. I think me and Chris maybe did. Were you in that one? I can't remember.
I don't think so, no.
We've definitely done content on this.
Go
check it out. You'll find it somewhere on our YouTube channel. I know Grace Yang, friend of the show, was quite disappointed by Battlefield 2042 because she was a big fan of Battlefield series like yourself, and then it just seemed to be disappointing. I've never quite got the specifics why people are so disappointed in it.
Like I felt like with number 4 came out, there was like a fair few performance issues, but it was still like a solid title. Battlefield 1, when we look at it, like that got like caught up in a bit of like the anti-woke nonsense that always tends to come out and stuff like that. And then after that, there's more performance issues and kind of. They just stopped making really good titles for a bit, I guess.
It just... they just lost the way a bit.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
And then COD was obviously going from strength to strength.
I know Chris's biggest criticism of Battlefield 2042 was the fact that it was a £70 game for a multiplayer-only experience.
Yeah.
Which... for the likes of me and Chris, who are predominantly single-player gamers, who don't mind dabbling in multiplayer occasionally, but it's not usually our jam, we're looking at that price and going, nope. Hard. It was just a hard no. But where it comes to something like Game Pass, that's where we're more likely to engage in it. And then, obviously, it launched. It didn't do well on launch, so a lot of people were looking at it and probably went, nah, it's too steep.
Yeah, and if the community's not there, then why on earth would you pay that much for it?
Well, that's it. Multiplayer games live and die on the strength of the community. Yeah. And the community, the way to keep your community engaged is, one, it has to be fundamentally a good game. Multiplayer experiences, you can get away with a bit of jank, I think, in the single-player experience. Yeah. I don't think you can in multiplayer.
No, because everyone will just jump on the exploits.
Yeah, it has to be polished. You look at things like CSGO. That game is so strong because it runs incredibly well and practically you can run that game on a bloody potato.
Yeah. So
that's kind of where multiplayer stuff needs to be. I think if you're over ambitious with multiplayer in terms of the graphics and stuff of that nature, and then it doesn't run as smooth, it waters down the play. This is where frame rate matters. A single-player game, realistically, you can get away with 30 frames per second in most situations. Yeah. It might not be as smooth as you like, might not, but you can get away with it. I think a multiplayer game, you need to be minimum 60, ideally pushing higher.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it does impact when you're playing against other people.
Yeah, and that's where any of the drops in fidelity or performance, they really kill these types of games. So,
and then there's content. You have to have enough content to keep people entertained for a while, and then a continual launch of content. And when you're paying full price for a multiplayer game, I would expect at least 1 year, one solid year of content provided for free for that money.
Yeah, exactly that.
But if you're paying £70 for a game, then 2 months later going, oh, here's the first season pass, that'll be another £20, please. No,
Yeah,
it's
like,
off.
Yeah, come on, like taking the piss, right?
On
So
top of
I'm
like
hoping
microtransactions and stuff, yeah.
I'm hoping this is kind of the route forward and like maybe like a turning point. I think like the developers have talked about it's like this like long road to redemption. Yeah. So
but
I'm
if
hoping
they're
that
walking
keeps
it,
going.
more power to them. I hope they get to where they want to be. And again, a game like this on Game Pass or PlayStation Plus, I think is the perfect home for it. If they can't financially justify it being a free-to-play game and then just living off season pass money, which realistically you can. Look at Fortnite.
Yeah.
Like,
but you have to remember as well.
Call of Duty Warzone.
Yeah.
This is it. Why pay £70 for Battlefield when Call of Duty Warzone is free to play?
Exactly. And you have to remember as well, like, when Battlefield was at its best was when Call of Duty was making its biggest innovations and biggest improvements. Like, I feel like you do need those like two competing titles to really push where like a franchise is going. And historically it was these two games that would like battle for the same audience. I think that needs to come back to push COD to like whatever like the next thing is.
Look, I think the first person shooter genre is ready for the military shooter genre element of it, at least, is due for a good overhaul again. Because while Call of Duty from sales goes from strength to strength and is like literally outselling what it's ever done, ever.
Yeah.
I look at the newer Call of Duties and look at the older ones. There's not that much difference between the newest release of Call of Duty and, well, I mean, it's a remake. If you exclude the remakes, the most recent newer game compared to, say, Call of Duty for Modern Warfare, yeah, there's improvements. But it's like looking at a FIFA game from 2010 compared to 2023. Essentially, the building blocks are still the same building blocks.
Yeah, exactly. And like
I feel that genre needs some level of innovation, so it doesn't just feel like a new Call of Duty, a new Battlefield. And I think it's Battlefield is the one that needs to bring it, because Call of Duty has no reason to. It's a big risk for Call of Duty to do it, to rip up the format. Battlefield can be that because it's got EA behind it. There's people who still have a lot of fondness for it, to the point where a lot of Battlefield players prefer it to Call of Duty. It's positioned to really innovate.
So this is the thing when you look back at first-person shooters, and like you look at them now, I still think the level like you interact with the environment in a first-person shooter is still like 2 or 3 generations back in terms of like you just a floating gun. You're not. I can't really describe like there's no kind of tactile elements to a first-person shooter. Like when you run up against a wall, you just endlessly bob into it. You don't kind of like lean into it or something like that. Like those things really haven't changed in games, and I feel like
maybe you want a bit more physics. If you sprint off the wall, you get bounced out a cover or something. Add more physics into that. Yeah, because if you ran straight forward into a wall,
you'd hit it.
Maybe it could have an animation where character braces himself, and because he's bracing himself, his hand's not on his gun.
Yeah, something like
Stuff
that.
I
feel like the only thing you can do in environments now is just hop over ledges, which it's just you still just feel like a floating gun, and I think there's something extra there.
Maybe that's it. Maybe Battlefield goes more realistic in terms of the mechanics.
Yeah, or like if an explosion happens near you, you get like flung against somewhere, like, just anything to stop you thinking, like feeling like a floating gun.
Position yourself not to go head to head with Call of Duty, but more to go head to head with Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, a bit more. Well, Siege is a lot more slow. It's a lot more tactical. But if they could do stuff like more interaction with the environment from your character in the environment, that could be interesting. It could be an interesting innovation. And to be honest, I don't think they've got a lot to lose at the moment, because I think it's at a current low ebb of the series.
Yeah.
And that's the best time to innovate, because they go, well, this is currently not working, let's try something different. And if it doesn't work, you can always revert.
Yeah, like the thing I always remember about like innovations in in third person games is there was an interview with I can't remember who he was within the Gears of War team, but he was describing when they were making a third person shooter, he went paintballing, and like the formative like nugget of that game was him hiding behind a barrier because loads of people were shooting paintballs at him, and he was like, this feels realistic, why don't we put that into a game? And I don't think first person shooters have had that kind of
I'm going to steal that idea. EA, for the next Battlefield, this is what you do. Get your entire development team, have a word with the British Army, go paintball and verse in the British Army to get that feeling of what it would be like to go up against an actually well-trained unit in a tactical situation. And just, again, think about things like how you're interacting with the environment, how the enemies, well, in this case, when you think about AI, use the British soldiers, how are they moving? How are they moving to kind of flank you and because the thing is, stuff like that.
Like Call of Duty does a really good job of like imitating how a soldier moves. When you're looking at an NPC, it doesn't do a good job of doing that for you, the character. Call
of Duty is quite arcadey nowadays.
Yeah,
I think it's a great game, but it has a huge audience. It's catered for a huge audience. I think Battlefield could be. You're not going to go head-to-head with Call of Duty. It's unrealistic to assume that nowadays. Mm-hmm. You've lost that particular fight. Yeah. You lost it a long time ago. So think about what you could do, where you could position yourself within that genre so you become a standout title that doesn't just seem like EA doing a Call of Duty clone.
Yeah, which is what... That's always what's going to be compared against to now.
And right now, I think Siege is... currently occupying that thing. That's why I think Siege has been so successful, because it's not trying to be a Call of Duty clone.
Yeah.
It's its own thing, but it's also now an old game.
Yeah.
It's still going from strength to strength, but I think it's right. That crown is right for the taking, to be the more serious in the genre, the more tactical. So people like my dad loves first-person shooters. He's not really fond that much of Call of Duty because he hates that. He used to hate, when you see someone sprint, jump in the air, go prone in the middle air, then headshot and spin round. He hated that sort of stuff. He would prefer. He loves Siege. He's not very good at it, but the concept of something like Siege.
Yeah.
So a game like that could be very much up his alley. There is gamers out there who do want that more serious approach.
Yeah. So go for that.
Yeah, and just to round up the show, Microsoft are now selling Xbox controller replacement parts, which it's a small news story, but I think it's very much worth bringing up because the more you can repair stuff, less stuff goes into landfills, and the less you have to pay for stuff. So reading from Pure Xbox, if you've ever wanted to replace a thumbstick, faulty trigger, buttons, or make major repair to one of your Xbox controllers and happen to be located in North America, it's a start. Just North America. The good news is Microsoft is now selling controller parts on its official store. This allows Xbox users to extend the lifespan of out-of-warranty Xbox accessories with genuine Microsoft repair parts.
Good for them.
Good for everyone, really.
Yeah, loads of tech companies talk about kind of sustainability and stuff like that, but then conveniently ignore the planned obsolescence of their kind of product. Whereas Microsoft are taking albeit small but big step, small but kind of significant step in, just making things last longer, which is like the best way to be sustainable is to not have to build another one.
I know this is the kind of sort of stuff that's becoming increasingly a hot button issue for EA legislators at the moment, putting pressure on big tech companies to prevent waste, to make things more consumer friendly. I know there's stuff like handheld games consoles do need to have replaceable batteries.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you can go to the shop, buy some AAAs, stick them in the back of your thing. It means that you should be able to open up your device and replace the battery that's inside it.
Yeah.
But I think this is good because most tech nowadays dies on the batteries. So if you can replace the battery, great. It's usually analog sticks and controllers that go first. Look at the classic Nintendo stick drift issue.
Yeah.
If you design your hardware so you can just... If you know you've got a thing, like let's say the controller lasts 5 years before you get any sort of decaying like stick drift is made if it's made well. If then it can be made very easily and consumer friendly to crack up the controller, just pop out the module, pop a new one in, close it back up, and you're good to go. That is fantastic news going forward. And
yeah. So
it stops just crap going in landfills and to be honest, I think Microsoft could make more money doing stuff like that.
The thing is, I'd pay more for a controller when I know it's going to last the entire lifespan of the console.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Like, I'll happily pay more. Like, just tell me how much. Like, and I'll do the math myself because I know I'm going to have to replace, like, my Xbox, my PlayStation controller. That'll need to be replaced a couple of times.
If I'm Microsoft, I'm taking this a step further as well, though, because Microsoft, they design labs, they love letting you just customize stuff. Mm-hmm. What if you could just buy parts? So we talked about last week, or maybe the week before, about Hall Effect joysticks, where because they use magnets rather than physical components for how they work, it means that stick drift just doesn't happen. It physically can't. It's a magnet. It doesn't die.
Yeah.
In a long period of time, it might go, but by that point, you'll be on the Xbox Series 12 or whatever the hell they're going to call the next fourth generations of console down the line. So stuff like that is like, well, what if you could buy a controller, an Xbox controller, and go, I prefer my triggers to be, I don't know, more firm, and you could just buy a new module and stick them in. Microsoft could sell that sort of stuff, and because of things like design labs, I think it's something they would be inclined to do.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting route for them over the next couple of years, and I'm all for it. It even pushes the more customizability, and something that can lord over PlayStation a bit as well, and go, well, Xbox, you can completely customize your controller to suit you. Every component is modular. That should be where they go for. Have it so modular that you can upgrade your current series controller to effectively become an elite controller if you wished. Yeah. If you bought the components. Xbox are already ahead in the fact that you can actually change batteries in an Xbox controller as opposed to... Well, theoretically, if you took that design approach, you couldn't really do it with what's out there now, but if you took that design approach from the ground up, you'd theoretically never have to replace the controller. You could just replace modules. And have that. You could replace if they brought out some better rumble modules or haptic triggers. Pop your triggers out, put the haptic ones in. You've now upgraded your controller for the next generation of console. You have that controller, and you have an infinite update path. What's that? That kind of philosophical conundrum about like a ship. Oh, the axe. It was a ship, wasn't it? There's a couple of versions of the ship of Theseus. That's the one. Yeah, it's like how much do you need to replace before it's an entirely new ship. But if you think from a consumer point of view, if you could just buy one set of controllers, then constantly just keep updating it, even beyond the single generation. Mm-hmm. And Microsoft are very much against the concept of console generations. Yeah. Designing controllers to suit that. Be very interesting. Yeah. It would be. But you know what is very interesting, Rob? That we have no more news to talk about this week. So thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel or your podcast feed of choice with new notifications kept on, so you're kept in the loop with all great shows, such as Talking the PS, such as our live streams. Potentially does Quake come out this week? Who knows? We have a Discord server where you can join some awesome people chatting about whatever they want, games, life, whatever. Thank you very much for watching. My name's been Richie. And I've been Rob. GG everyone. Goodbye. Goodbye.